Good morning. Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you doing? How have your week been? So this should be week 6. Yeah, welcome to week 6 class. We are already like halfway through the session. Yes, we shall be looking at the process of managing risk. We shall talk about identifying project risks and uncertainties, analyzing and prioritizing risks, and developing mitigation strategies and contingency plans in project management. Now let's dive right into it. Now, number 1, the first steps involve systematically pinpointing events, conditions, or scenarios that might affect project objectives. So this is like a brief overview of what potential risks and uncertainty is, what prioritizing risks is, and what developing mitigation plan means. Now, identifying project risks and uncertainties. Now, risk identification is the first and arguably the most important step in risk management, because a risk cannot be managed if it is not recognized. Now, they'll tell you a problem you don't know you can't solve, because once you don't know you even have a problem in life, you cannot even know how to even start solving the problem. So identifying your problem first is already a solution at the hand. Now, it involves systematically pinpointing events, conditions, or scenario that may affect the project objectives. Now, what are the sources of project risk? We have here the technical risk, which can come from the design flaw, the technological limitation, yes, and your integration failure. That's your failure of integrating human and the technological, probably finding the right people to use the software you have at the given project. Now, number 2, we have the resource risk, which involves the shortage in skilled labor. When you are limited to a certain amount of people to work with you. You have the material delay, which sometimes might not be your fault, which can be caused by probably the supplier factor. And we have the equipment breakdown. Yes, this one now sometimes is even nobody's fault, because an equipment can just break down during use. There's no prior warning or something, and it sometimes increases the time frame in projects. We have the regulatory and legal risk. This involves the non-compliance with law and the environmental restrictions. We have the stakeholders' risks, which involves conflicting interest. Sometimes the way you want to go is not where the stakeholders want to go. They might not see the long-term vision. They might not see what as a person you are seeing long-term, probably because you've been involved in similar projects for a long period of time. So they might not really see what you are seeing. Then we have the political interference. Sometimes the government might want to interfere. You are developing an app. Okay, what are the pros and cons? What is the economical value to us? They would want to interfere. We have the financial risk, which involves the budget overrun, the funding withdrawal, and the exchange rate fluctuation. Now, the exchange rate fluctuation is actually the one that's even I like to talk about, because it is very detrimental when you're working for probably an international organization, so probably spearhead the project for them. Now that can be detrimental, because probably you got the project, probably the dollar was 1.5 as at the time you were making your project budgeting, and it gets approved, and then when they send you the money, dollar is now 1,300. Now that's like yeah shorting 200 naira per dollar. Now, if probably it's a project of 1,000 naira, instead of 1.5 million, $1,000, sorry, instead of 1.53 million, you're going to be getting 1.3 million, which is 200,000 short. Now, if I told you you're shorting 200 naira per dollar, it would have seemed small, but cumulatively, you've lost a significant amount of money, and it's a risk. Now, it might not even be enough to even cover the costs before you're even contemplating your overhead and profit. So, the exchange rate fluctuation is a considerate risk you should take into factor when probably doing an international project. Now, we have the schedule risk, which is very, very common with project managers, which is the unrealistic timelines always wanting to, how would I put the word now? Wanting to impress your client, and you tell them, okay, I'll get this done by this time, when you and I know you cannot get it done by that time. You have the dependency delays, which can be checked using Gantt charts, where one project, where event A depends on event B being completed and depend on event C being completed. Then we have unanticipated rework. Yes, this is work which had to be done because they were not properly done at the initial stage. Then we have the environmental risk, which is the weather condition, which can affect probably like construction jobs, and which there are limitations you do. You have probably during rainy season as a contractor, there's the amount of job you can push regardless of the amount of resource you have available with you. So we have the environmental risks, weather condition, natural disaster. And we have the market risk, one, change in demand. You can also say change in cost of market of project of procurement materials. Now, then we have the competitors' actions, the economic downturns. Yeah. Now, okay, moving forward. Now, what are the techniques for risk identification? One, we have brainstorming section. Team members, stakeholders, and experts collectively identify potential risk. We have the Delphi technique, where anonymous survey among experts. So these are mainly used in the, so people use this thing in professional sector when they want to stay anonymous and get real positive feedback. Now, anonymous surveys among experts followed by aggregation and refinement of responses. Now we have the SWOT analysis. Yes, I think this is something that should not be new to anybody because it's used in almost every field. The SWOT analysis, assessment of strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. It is something we should use in our everyday life. Safe. In every decision we take, we do a SWOT analysis. What is my strength when I'm done doing this? What will be my weakness when I'm done doing this? What opportunities will come out from this? And what threats might I face after taking this action? The SWOT analysis. Now we have the checklist, the predefined list of risks from previous projects in similar domain. So the thing is, as a project manager, the more you do a project, like me now, if you give me a construction job now to do, there are risks I can identify ahead because I've done this times without numbers. So I'll be able to prepare for it. I'll be able to avoid it if I can. That's just one thing. Now we have the interview and workshop, direct discussion with stakeholders and subject matter experts. We have the assumption analysis. That's review the validity of assumption making during plan. We have the cause and effect diagram, also called the fishbone, yes, or the Shakwa. What's this Ishikawa diagram? I know it has a fishbone. I don't know what this other thing is. To trace possible risk origin, yeah. Then we have the documentation review, examining contracts, technical application, and previous reports for possible risk clues. Now, what are the roles of uncertainties in a project? While risk implies a known potential probability of occurrence, uncertainty refers to a situation where probabilities or impacts are unknown or difficult to estimate. Now, uncertainty can arise from one, lack of historical data; two, rapidly changing environments; three, complex independencies in projects; four, innovative or experimental technologies. Now, good project managers recognize uncertainties early and incorporate them into flexible planning structure, often through scenarios analysis or Monte Carlo simulation. Monte Carlo simulation. We should teach that. Okay, I hope I remember. To model a range of outcomes. Now, risk analysis and prioritization. Now, after identifying risk, the next step is to understand their significance. The risk analysis evaluates the likelihood and potential impacts of each risk, while prioritization ensures that resources are focused on the most critical threats. Now, we have the qualitative risk analysis and the quantitative. Those are basically the two we do. But let's start with qualitative. Now, the qualitative risk analysis is a non-numerical approach that uses expert judgment, descriptive skills, and categorization to evaluate risk. It often involves one, probability impact matrix, A grid where risk is rated by probability. That's the low probability of this happening, high probability of rain falling. What's the probability of rain falling on in August? Is it high? Is it low? Is it very? Is it medium? So we know we are August. August is a raining season in Nigeria. So the probability of rain falling here, it's high. So that's what the probability impact matrix, how it works. Now, what is the impact of rain falling in this project? Now, say it's an open door construction project. If rain fall, what does it limit? It limits material transportation. It limits mixing of aggregates. It limits placement of materials. So yes, it has high impact, high negative impact. That's severe impact on this project at this period of time. We have the risk categorization, that's grouping risks by the source or affected project objectives. Then we have the urgency assessment, which is very important. That's determining which risks requires immediate action. What should I do immediately? Which risks need to be taken care of immediately? Now, the outcome is usually a prioritized list of risks that merit more attention. Now, moving forward to the quantitative risk analysis. Now, the quantitative analysis assigns numerical value to risks, often in terms of cost or time. Now, the techniques include one, expected monetary value, AMV. That's the impact, that's the probability by the impact in monetary term. That is the probability of the rain falling and what impact would it have in monetary term. What impact, how much would it cost us in monetary term? We have the decision tree analysis, which I should talk about later. Yes. This does the graphic representation of different decision paths and their potential outcome. So this decision tree analysis is one thing I like because you're having a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. So it means if I go plan A, what is the outcome? What is the potential risk? How can I cure the potential risks? If I go plan B, okay, it has killed plan A risk, but it comes with plan B risk. How can I get around it? If I go plan C, that's just what this decision tree analysis. It itemizes different routes you can take to achieve one goal and their potential outcome. Then we have the Monte Carlo simulation. Again, I'm surprised I'm having it. I really should talk about it. Now, the Monte Carlo simulation, which means running thousands of iterations to model possible project performance under varying risk scenario. We have the sensitive analysis, identifying which risks have the greatest effect on project outcomes. Now, the prioritization criteria for risks. See, now when prioritizing risks, project managers consider one, the likelihood of occurrence of that risk, two, the magnitude of potential impact, three, the organization tolerance for risk, four, the interdependencies between risk, five, the time frame in which the risk could occur, among others. So these are just very few things we consider when prioritizing our risk. Now, I came down here to say that risks that are both highly probable and have severe consequences are given top priority, while low probability, low impact risks are monitored with minimal intervention. Now, developing risk mitigation and contingency plan once risks are prioritized. The project team develops strategy to address them. Sorry, this should be another paragraph. I am seeing it in here. Now, once risks are prioritized, the project team develops strategies to address them. This involves risk mitigation, reducing the likelihood of impact, and contingency planning, which is preparing for action if the risk occurs. Now, risk mitigation strategies. Mitigation aims to either avoid, reduce, transfer, or accept the risk. Now, what strategy can we have? We have one, the risk avoidance, which is the best. Better to prevent than to correct. Yes. Now, this means changing a project plan to eliminate the risks entirely. Yes. So instead of going through route A, I'll go through route C, so I don't have to experience this problem that occurs in route A. Now, examples include selecting a proven technology instead of an untested one. This I can give. What example should I use? No, I don't want to use construction again. Okay, for most of us or anybody who has idea of coding, Probably you want to do Python coding. I started or I learned. I still have the idea of it. Now, if you want to do Python coding, you have to use software like, should I say, is it a software? You use Anaconda. I used Anaconda when I was learning Python. Now, there were the tutor there gave us the option Anaconda and another one. Now, I used Anaconda because Anaconda was the most populous among them. Now, I had a friend who were learning together and chose to use the other one. Now, we kept encountering problems that even the tutor cannot even rectify. Not because the tutor does not know what he's doing, but because he had not used that software to even get to know how it works. So it is better to use what you are sure of, what you are certain of in projects. Yes, trial and error is very good. As an engineer, you should try. As a person itself, you should try to know the best worst scenario of an issue. But for a project, you should use known technologies, use the unknown. You work from the known to the unknown. Now we have the risk transfer, which involves shifting the risk to another party, IG, and sorry, e.g., through insurance and outsourcing. Example, we have hiring a specialist contractor for high risk components. Yes, this is self-explanatory. Then we have risk reduction, which is implementing measures to decrease the probability or impact of a risk. Example, we have conducting additional tests to prevent technical failures before the project commences. I should add that. I should have added them there. Then we have risk acceptance, choosing to take no immediate action and monitor the risks. Example, accepting minor delay due to seasonal weather variation. Yes, probably as a construction person, there's really nothing you can do due to weather constraints. So you just have to monitor the impact. You accept it and you monitor and see what and where it is taking you to. Now, I went further to see mitigation measures should be proportionate to the level of risk and cost effective. So you will not take measures which you should use to cushion a high risk and be using it to cushion a low risk. Then we are moving forward. Contingency plan. A contingency plan is a predefined course of action to be implemented if a risk event occurred. Now, this is different from mitigation because it deals with managing consequences rather than preventing the occurrence. Now, I once said better safe than sorry, so better prevent than correct. But since we've sailed the ship of prevention, now contingency plan is like managing. Contingency plan is like managing what you could not prevent at that particular time. Yes, so that's what contingency plan is. It's just managing what has already occurred since you could not prevent the occurrence. Now, contingency plan. Let me just continue. It's just like a predefined course of action to be implemented. So just like I was saying, I had to break the video and continue. So when your original plan does not work, it's like a plan B. Now, what are the elements of a good contingency plan? What makes up a very good contingency plan? We have the trigger condition. That's indicators that the risk event is imminent or has occurred, and you must now trigger your contingents. We have number 2, your action steps. You have your roles and responsibilities, who will carry out actions when the contingency plan is triggered. Then we have the resource allocation, to include your budget, your equipment, and manpower reserved for contingencies. Now, example, I stated there, for the risks of a supplier default, contingency plan might involve having pre-approved alternative supplier already. So you are not totally dependent on one person supplying your products. So you have pre-approved, probably during the screening and the selection of for resource allocation, you already have someone who can do that for you. Now, moving forward, the risk register. Now, what is a risk register? The risk register is the central document that captures all identified risk, the analysis, mitigation action, contingency plan, It typically involves mitigation strategy, contingency plan, risk ID and description, category and root cause, probability, and impact rating. So the risk register just is a document that carries everything we've been talking about since morning. Everything is included in a risk register. Okay, sorry, I'm breathing heavy. Yeah, everything is included in a risk register. Now, monitoring, reviewing, and updating risks. Now, risk management is not a one-off activity, but a continuous process through the project lifecycle. Now, new risks may emerge, existing risks might evolve, and mitigation strategy will require adjustments. Now, regular risk review helps one identify new risks arising from the changes in scope, environmental, stakeholders' requirements. So, monitor risks trigger to activate contingency plans promptly. 3. Evaluate effectiveness of mitigation strategies. 4. Update the risk register to reflect the current status. Now, tools like the risk dashboard and key risk indicators, KRIs, can help track the project. KPI should be for next week. Can help track the project's overall risk exposure in real time. Now, what are the best practices in risk management? I gave a few. 1. Engage all stakeholders. 2. Document lessons learned. 3. Balance efforts. Balance risk management effort with the project size, complexity, and strategic importance. 4. You maintain transparency. 5. You align. I'm serious as well. You align with policies. Now, in conclusion, risks and uncertainty are inseparable from project management, but their negative effects can be significantly minimized through proactive identification, rigorous analysis, and effective planning. Now, by systematically identifying risks, analyzing and prioritizing them, and developing appropriate mitigation and contingency plan, project managers increase the likelihood of achieving project objectives within scope, time, and budget constraints. A well-managed risk process not only safeguards the project, but also builds stakeholders' confidence and organized resilience. As the business environment becomes increasingly volatile and complex, structural risk management remains an indispensable competency for success project delivery. Thank you very much. So that's all we have for this week. So I think next week we shall discuss KPIs, key performance indicators, and other factors too, which are considered in project management. I'll have to look at the scheme of work. But thank you very much and hope you enjoy your week and have a nice day.